Hi, so I've decided to start doing a monthly TV, music, film, etc. type video where I kind of talk about the things I've been enjoying watching and listening to that month. I'm going to firstly talk about TV, and then I've got some music to talk about, and then also some podcasts. So the first thing is The Hunt on BBC One, which is a David Attenborough documentary series. It's on at the moment. It's all about predators and prey, and it is unbelievable. It is so good. I'm not like a huge animal documentary person. Like, I don't mind watching them, but I wouldn't like go out of my way to watch one. But this is just amazing. It's kind of following various different predators and watching, showing how they catch their prey. And like, we've seen like tigers, we've seen polar bears, wolves. It's just, there's been lots and lots of different things happening in each episode. But I think my favourite bits are actually when they're focusing on insects, because it's obviously something you don't really get to see a lot. They've got like amazing close-up footage of like stick insects, spiders, just watching how they catch their prey. The spider stuff in particular has been incredible. Like, there's this one spider which is called the Portia spider, and it basically eats other spiders, but it was showing you like how intelligent it was and how it catches its prey. And there was like a bit where it was like standing next to this web, and it was a massive spider, and the web wasn't strong enough to support the Portia spider like climbing up it, so it basically just like caught some bits of the web and started reeling the spider in and then like pouncing on it. And then there was another bit where it was like following this other spider it's poisonous, and it had to basically wait until it was distracted and feeding its children, and then again it like pounced on it. Oh, it was just so good. Like, you have to watch it. It is really entertaining. Obviously, there are some bits that are like horrible to watch. Like, we watched some chimpanzees eat some other monkeys last week, and I had to turn away because there's bits where like a chimp is basically eating like this arm of another monkey, and I was like, that is too much for me. I did not know that monkeys eat other monkeys. I can't deal with watching this. Apart from that, it's been very entertaining. You have to watch it. Another BBC programme I've been enjoying, which is London Spy. I went in not really knowing what this was about. I thought, oh, it's about London spies. It'll be like Spooks. It's not like Spooks. I don't want to spoil it because I think it's quite good to go in not knowing very much. All I knew about it was that it featured a gay relationship, because I'd saw some stuff on Twitter like about how some people had complained about some of the scenes, and I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. So yeah, it kind of centres around a gay relationship, and one of them happens to be a spy. And yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you. It is really good. So another thing I've been enjoying recently is the return of one of my favourite shows, which is Peep Show. So they're back for their 9th and final series. It's one of those shows that I can happily watch like again and again. Peep Show and Family Guy are two of those shows which I will regularly fall asleep to. So if I've ever got like a work trip where I need to get up like 4 o'clock in the morning to get a flight, I will go to bed about 8 and put on either a Family Guy or Peep Show DVD and just like fall asleep to it. It's just one of those things that I will watch over and over again. I love it so much. And yeah, this is it back for the final series, so we're gonna find out what happens to Mark and Jeremy. What happens to Mark and Jeremy? At the end of the last series, they had fallen out because both of them were in love with Dobby. This series starts, and it's been 6 months since we last saw them. Mark and Jeremy haven't seen each other since then. Jeremy is no longer living with Mark. And they are meeting up at Superhan's stag do. So apparently in that 6 months, Superhan's has met someone and is about to get married. At the end of the first episode though, you're kind of back in a very familiar territory. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but yeah, it's as good as it has always been. There's always been kind of like a lot of up-to-date commentary in it, like kind of references to things that are happening at that point. So like, and that's kind of continued here, where there was like a mention of Zoella in the first episode, which was bizarre. And they're like in a juice bar, which is again very current. There's juice bars everywhere, isn't there? And yeah, there's other things where like they'll mention something and it's very like now, it's very current. I'm enjoying watching that. Another comedy that I'm loving at the moment is Broad City. I wrote about the first series on my blog when I did a kind of what I've been watching post a couple months ago. It's an American comedy series. It's written by and stars 2 comic actresses, Ilana and Abby, and they play characters of the same name as well. And it's so bizarre. Like, there are so many just weird moments in it, but it's just really funny. It's one, like, the other day a trailer came on for this series and I was in the house on my own. I was actually like killing myself laughing, like almost crying laughing at just the advert. Okay, so that's it for TV. Next thing I want to talk about is some albums that I've been really enjoying. First one is Little Mix's new album, Get Weird. And oh my god, this is amazing. Like, you have to go and listen to this album. It's on Spotify, it'll probably be on YouTube. Go and listen to it. It's so, so good. First time I listened to this, the whole way through, I was at work. And honestly, it took me on like a roller coaster of emotions. There were some songs where I just wanted to like start dancing at my seat. Or some songs where I wanted to be like punching in the air and be like, yeah, women. There was also songs that just made me want to cry. One in particular that almost made me cry is the last song on the album. It's called The Beginning. And if you had the Christina Aguilera album Stripped, there was a couple of songs in there where there were kind of like interval tracks where it was just a very, very short song. And that's what this is really. It's very short, it's acoustic. So the song basically tells their story, so about how they were strangers that were put together in a band in X Factor. And they've got to this point now where their third album, I think it's third album anyway. And the last line of the song is, I know we've come so far, but it's just the beginning. And like, honestly, that just completely choked me up when I was listening to it, because I feel like that is exactly how I feel about that album and about them. And I'm like, I would never have said beforehand like I am a massive Little Mix fan, but I kind of realise I am now that I've listened to this, because that is exactly what it feels like. You know, if you compare like their first single to like Black Magic, and it's like there's a clear progression there, and just listen to this album, it just feels like they've got to that point where they know who they are. It's a very distinct sound. That's something about like I used to really like the Saturdays, and I went to a couple of their concerts and stuff. But one thing I would say is that there was never like a Saturdays sound. Like with Girls Aloud, you heard a Girls Aloud song, you were like, that is Girls Aloud. You heard a Saturday song, and you'd be like, who's this? And then go, oh, it's a new Saturday single. It sounds completely different to the last one. Whereas Little Mix, the album does have complete like light and shade songs. You know, it's not like every song sounds very similar, but it all has that distinct Little Mix sound to it, if you know what I mean. I feel like they know who they are. This is such a well put together album. The songs are amazing. They sound incredible. There are quite a few songs that have got acoustic bits in them, and they just sound amazing. Like their voices are unbelievable. And we kind of knew that from the X Factor that they were good singers, but like this is like a whole nother level. And yeah, I just kind of felt like when I heard that bit, I was just like, oh my god, it really is just the beginning for them. I realise this is like turning into a complete like loving of Little Mix. And yeah, in terms of like the songs, so it's quite like a retro feel to it. And by retro, I mean like 90s. So there's some songs that kind of feel very much like they could be a pop song that came out in like late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, there's one song called Weird People that I think sounds like the theme tune to like a show in the 90s, like something like Clarissa Explains It All. Like it sounds like the theme tune to like a Little Mix TV show. There's a song called Grown, which reminds me of Biology by Girls Aloud. Not that it sounds anything like it, but it's just that it's got like very distinct parts to it that sound like they could be different songs. And that's kind of what Biology was like. You know, it had like, you know, the verses, the chorus, and like the middle eight or the bridge. They sounded like very different songs, but it all worked together really well. And I feel like that's what Grown sounds like. There are some ballads in there which are incredible. Secret Love Song, they've got two versions of that on the album. One features Jason Derulo. Again, their voices sound incredible on it, but it is just a really, really strong ballad, which I hope will be a single. There's like this song called Lightning, which has like this beat drop bit in it, which is just amazing. God, there's just like so many good songs on the album, and I love Black Magic. It is like one of my favourite songs this year, but it feels like it's just like a good song in a brilliant album. So that should kind of give you an idea of like the scale of how good this album is. I feel like I've talked about this far too much. I should have put this in an entire video by itself. Another album that I've been enjoying this month, maybe I should just leave this one. Oh, the One Direction album's really good. I'm sorry, but it actually is. It is really good. Let's just move on. Final thing I want to talk about is podcasts. There's been two podcasts that I've been listening to a lot recently. First one is Undisclosed, which is sort of like a follow-on from Serial, which told the story of Adnan Syed, a Baltimore teenager who was jailed for the murder of his ex-girlfriend. Undisclosed is not related to Serial. It's not by the same people, but it's the same story. and the kind of lead on the podcast is a lawyer who is the sister of one of Adnan's friends, so she knows the family very well. And again, you know, it's going into the same case, but they've actually uncovered a lot of different things than Serial did, and obviously there's been a lot of things happening with it recently. They've recently been given approval to go to, is it a retrial, or maybe a retrial is not right. They're basically getting to like show new evidence. So yeah, it's very up to date. It currently is going out every 2 weeks or every week. There's a lot to catch up on if you want to listen to it. Like, there's probably about 30 odd episodes. I basically like beasted through it in the last 2 weeks, like just constantly listening to it on like the bus to and from work and stuff. And yeah, it's really, really interesting. If you like Serial, you will love this. And finally, the other podcast I'll be listening to is the Adam Buxton Show. So Adam Buxton used to do the Adam and Joe Show with Joe Cornish. And that stopped a long time ago, but he's now back with his own podcast, and he basically interviews another person every week. Or is it every week? I don't know. Every time he's interviewing someone else. So he's had Louis Theroux on, he's had John Ronson and Garth Jennings, who used to fill in for Joe Cornish a couple of times. And he revealed in the last episode, which was with Rob Delaney, that he's actually going to do a Christmas special with Joe Cornish. I love Adam Buxton. Like, I could listen to him talk about anything. Like, he's just so funny. It's not the Adam and Joe Show minus Joe. You know, there's not like song battles or anything like that. It's basically just like him talking to someone else about various things. But it is really, really funny. So I would definitely recommend, especially if you're an Adam Buxton fan, if you like his bug shows and things, and yeah, it's definitely worth listening to that. So yeah, those are my recommendations for this month. I hope you enjoyed this. The main recommendation from this would be listen to that Little Mix album right now. Do it right now. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye! There's someone at a window up there that's kind of looking over here, and I think they can probably see that I'm talking to a camera.